tell you. For example, the imprint on the envelope. I can tell you that imprint was deposited first. Subsequently, have some blood stain deposit on top of the imprint. That order I can tell you.
Which imprint, the Bruno Mali or the
No,
the unknown?
The parallel line.
Okay, but in terms of the, let's assume that there is a struggle or an attack going on. Let's use the word attack. Can you tell us the sequence of the attack? What blow was made, when they were exchanged and the like?
I can tell you certain blood stain you can see have a contact, smear downwards, floating down. You can tell the sequence event. First have to have a contact before they smear downward. Then have the floating dripping down. You cannot go other way around. So in other words, I can give you certain sequence, not, as a matter of fact, the first time I would testify, I cannot give you a complete reconstruction with this case, only give you pieces, partial reconstruction.
Okay, well, have you tried to give us the pieces that you're able to give us?
I already give you 2-3 examples.
No, but I mean, between the direct and cross-examination, have you given us the pieces that you're aware of?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. So
Excuse
just
me a second. Doctor, if you would you allow Mr. Goldberg to finish asking you the question before you start answering? And Mr. Goldberg, let him finish answering before you start asking the next question. Take a breath in between.
Sure.
All right,
okay, just
thank
to make it a bit simpler, maybe I'm getting at it more simply. Can you tell us blow by blow what happened here?
No, I cannot. That's a good question.
All right. Thank you. And doctor, would it be fair to say that if we cannot tell blow by blow what happened here, or you cannot tell blow by blow what happened, then it's difficult to give any kind of a scientific estimation of time?
That's correct.
All right. Okay, thank you. I'm finished with this board. Is it possible, because I may have been blocking the board at times, that we can show the jurors the board before we put it back up?
I think each one of these items is, anybody need to see it any closer?
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Since this is a composite of exhibits that have already been shown to the jury.
Now, sir, I'd like to switch to another issue, and that's the question of Ronald Goldman's shoes or boots.
Yes.
You detected some type of a cut on one of the boots. Is that true?
As a matter of fact, I detect some other damage on the other boots too. However, when I testify, I only show you one boot.
Okay, that's what I was going to get to. Now, sir, if a person is involved in some type of activity while they're wearing shoes, such as sitting at a desk and maybe hooking their feet under part of the desk as they lean back in their chair and kind of using the desk as a fulcrum, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Might you expect to have some type of damage to both shoes from that a forensic scientist could detect?
I did not find any damage on my shoes. Sometimes I do this. Even I sometimes sit on an airplane, I try to stretch the seat in front of me doing that. Not necessarily you're going to have a sharp cut gorge. You may have. I have to look at this person's, all his shoes. If all his shoes, every pair shows identical pattern, then I can reach a reasonable conclusion. Of course, that's more likely he have those kind of damage during the routine work.
Or maybe it would happen in a rubber shoe as opposed to a leather shoe.
Yes.
Or there could be some kind of other activity, such as riding a bike, if you hook your feet in, that might conceivably expose both shoes to the same type of damage. Is that correct?
calls for speculation.
When I was a kid, I ride a lot of bikes, but my shoes never got any of those patterns.
Well,
But I cannot eliminate, say, somebody else don't get the pattern.
Okay. But at any rate, there are a variety of activities that a person could engage in that would cause both of the shoes to get a same type of defect in a corresponding location on each shoe.
That's kind of unlikely, because if you see the shoes, random shoes have multiple damage, that I will think more likely, because every day you ride, you form a gauge. You can't say every day you ride the same contact, same location, same place, day after day. It's kind of make it difficult. I cannot rule out a possibility.
And is there also, have you also become aware of the practice by some people of purchasing goods that have been damaged at a reduced price, at a discount location?
I do that all the time.
Okay. And if we saw a manufacturing defect, we might expect a manufacturing defect on a particular series of items
Sure.
to be in the same place on each item.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to mark as people's next in order a board that shows three photos depicting shoes. It'll be 594, Your Honor.
Yes.
Dr. Lee, I'd like to direct your attention to People's 594 for identification. Does this appear to be pictures of the shoes that were the subject of your examination?
All right, Mr. Goldberg, yeah, from you're shadowing juror number 7 there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you point out for us again the cut that was the subject of your testimony on direct examination?
This is the cut corresponding to this one.
He's
All right, juror
indicating-
7, can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, thank
He's
you.
indicating the top left photograph, and there's a cut over what would be the toe next to the big toe. Is that correct, Doctor?
That's correct.
And then he pointed at the photograph below that, pointing to the shoe that appears to have the least blood on it of the two. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, you just alluded to some other damage that you saw on the other shoe. Can you point that out for the jurors?
This one, like a straight line, little hook at the end.
And doctor, does that also appear to be over the proximate area of where the toe next to the big toe would be on the corresponding shoe?
This shoe, I think that's two different locations.
Okay, what is the location of the cut that you just pointed to on the other shoe?
You just counted here, 1, 2, oh, well, you have a ruler now. The ruler cannot be used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You start 8 and 9. Gauges this area. Here you start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8. Different locations.
So one's 9 and one's 8, approximately.
You can start 7 or 8,
Okay, well, approximately.
approximately.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay.
I'll take that down. Now, on a number of occasions, you've mentioned to the jury that the photographs that you examined were second or third generation photographs. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what is the forensic importance of that?
The forensic importance is every time the photograph, you make a generation. Some can be smaller, or portion can be cropped out. The color can be distorted a little bit. So it's important we look at different generations.
Okay, and I think you also used the phrase photo of photo. Would that be a situation where there's a photo on a photo that's maybe lying down, and someone actually takes another photograph of that and then hands that to you?
Yes, sir.
So each time that's done, there may be some detail lost.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, with respect to the eyeglass envelope, I'd like to show you a photograph that's previously been marked as People's 54B for identification. I'd also like the witness to take a look at the envelope itself, which has been previously marked as People's 32. So while we're waiting for that photograph, can I have him unseal the envelope?
Mr. Scheck, do you want to approach and observe this?
Doctor, can you unseal this and describe what you're doing for the record?
This is an envelope with some yellow evidence tape on one end with a marking 7/11/95, some initial. Right now, I'm unseal it. This envelope probably unsealed before I unsealed. I can see this, somebody else unseal it prior to my unseal this. Inside contains another envelope. It appears to be a plastic bag with a multiple color, blue, red, yellow seal on top. Now I'm trying to unseal this one.
All right, hold on just a second. Mr. Goldberg, do you want Dr. Lee to open up the plastic envelope that's
No, I
inside?
don't think we need to do that.
All right.
Well, oh yes, can you hold that up for a second so I can see it? No, maybe we can see that. May I approach? Dr. Lee, can you see the stain that was labeled with Greg Matheson's initials on this?
I see three area have three label A, B, and C. M have some initial on it.
Okay, well, there was one of these stains that you didn't see in one of the earliest photographs, is that correct? That typed consistently with being
Right,
Ron Goldman,
right.
unconventional.
Right.
May I put this on the armor? Okay. Can we just pull out just to get a context of where that is, please? Okay, is that the Greg Matheson stain, well, the stain with Greg Matheson's initials on it that we were referring to?
No, that's not the one.
Okay, which is the one?
The B. You're talking A.
Oh, okay, I see that.
We're talking on the
Okay, let's
lower corner, that B.
Okay, pull out a little bit so we can see where it is. Okay, maybe with the telestrator we can just mark that if possible and then print it out with an arrow. Still. Was that just circled in yellow?
Yes.
Can we print that out?
How do you want to mark the printout?
The printout would be People's 595, Your Honor.
All right, 595.
Doctor, just for orientation purposes, on the lower right-hand corner of what we're pointing out is what appears to be a stain that seems to have what looks like it was once a bubble in it. Do you see what I'm talking about?
A bubble.
Yes. Maybe that's not the correct, that we're
I
zooming
don't
in on.
think any bubble is still on there.
What?
I don't see kind of bubble. Give me which one? Here?
Yes.
That probably some trace material I hear on the envelope. And some, I have to look at the pattern itself.
Okay, now I'd like to show you, so the Greg Matheson stain, as we're looking at this envelope now, is to the left of that major stain.
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's take a look at the exhibit that's previously been marked as People's 54B for identification.
Your Honor, is it possible that the witness can examine this before they put it up on the
Not necessarily.
While we're waiting for that to be scanned up onto the screen, oh, here it comes. Well, can that be, oh, that can't be reoriented so that we can put it, yeah, let's just do it off the envelope.
Is that laser disc?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking at the same bubble-like stain, stain that may have had some trace material
Yes,
that
sir.
adhered to it on the right-hand side. If we go left of there,
Yes.
there's a series of, yes. Does it appear that the Greg Matheson stain is one of those three constellation of stains?
Judged by the size, it cannot be. This is a reference stamp, still on the envelope. If you look at the previous one, picture, use as a control, that stamp is much smaller than those stamps.
Okay,
And now this stamp is much bigger than that three stamp.
okay. Now, Doctor, would you agree that that stain is in the same geographic location as the Greg Matheson stain?
Yes, sir.
Can we circle that one with yellow and print it out? While we're doing that, Doctor, is it true that with crime scene photography, sometimes we have artifacts that can appear in the photography that make it look like something is there that wasn't there?
Well, I think that's a crime scene photographer's position job to actually depict the scene, not to say something there, not to be there, or something there, not to be there.
Okay, well, what I'm asking you is this. We've talked about some of the problems with photographs.
Yes.
And there are inherent limitations of photographs. Is that
Right.
true?
That's true.
And some of them have to do with perspective. Is that true?
Right.
And can some of the limitations have to do with glare? Not
I
on this
don't see any-
photograph, but just in general.
All right, yes.
right. Now, can those sometimes have a distorting effect in terms of what we're looking at in the photograph?
Sure.
All right. Now, Doctor, I'd like you to take a look at the actual photograph and look at the same stain that we've just referred to.
May I look at the envelope again?
Yes.
Your Honor, should print that.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to look at that? Did that particular stain wash out of the photographs that you were given that were copies of maybe second or third generation photos?
I doubt it, because the rest of surrounding stain pretty defined. You can't just selectively say that particular stain washed out. It may happen, but if I wash out, I should see that general area, everything washed out.
Okay, but it is possible that that may have washed out. Is that true?
It's possible.
And by the time we got a third generation photograph to you, you might not see it at all. Is that true?
With this particular envelope versus this photograph, my opinion will not change. My opinion will not change. I think that stain wasn't present in, it did not present in that envelope.
All right, thank you. Now, Doctor, just getting back to the socks very briefly, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions that I may have forgotten.
All right,
Yes.
excuse me, Ms. Goldberg, are we done with the eyeglass?
Yes.
All right, why don't we have Dr. Lee repackage that then for the record?
Okay, now I'm putting a plastic envelope back to the manila envelope. Close it and reseal it. Put my initial on it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you. Now, we were talking about how it's not possible to say that the stain 42 stain is necessarily related to the wall 3 stain. Do you recall that discussion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, is it possible, Doctor, in your judgment, that in the process of taking off the socks, if one was cut and they deposited some of their blood on the toe of the sock, and they turned the upper part of the sock inside out, that the toe could come into contact with wall 3, which is now inside out?
Any type of transfer has, in this situation, has to be wet, still in liquid stage. Only have a minute transfer. It's not a large amount of a blood drop on it. It's little tiny beads. So I cannot rule out, say, possibilities.
The scenario that I just gave you.
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that, as in the case of some of the other photographs, the photographs that you saw of the socks at Rockingham were again second or third generation.
The picture, my testimony is first generation based my own observation, own photograph. The picture provided to me is different picture taken by different peoples.
I'm talking about the Rockingham picture.
Rockingham picture is maybe second, maybe third. I don't know how many generation before get to my hand.
All right. I'd like to mark as people's next in order. That would be 590, 6 for identification. What would appear to be a board with socks on it. 3 pictures. I think it has. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to do this. Just a single photograph of the socks that have been introduced in this case.
Mr. Goldberg.
Now, Doctor, you said that on your photographs, which were either second or third generation, you couldn't see the toes of the socks. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you couldn't tell whether the socks were inside or out.
Correct. I
So-
have a feeling, interpretation, but if I cannot positively see that, I don't want to come here to mislead you.
Okay, and if they were inside out partially, then wall 3 would be exposed to the outside, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I'd like to show you what we've just marked as 596. May I put a 596 on the reverse, Your Honor?
You may.
May I just show this to the witness first before I put it on the
You may.
Elmo? Can you just please look at this, just to take a look at that yourself?
Yes.
All right, on the Elmo.
Yes. Oh, this is not very good.
Look, I can tell you. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a few questions about this while this is up, and then perhaps we can, oh, there, well, it's a little better. Dr. Lee, this is a higher quality photograph than the photograph you were provided, is that
It's
correct?
much better, much better quality. I was not have the privilege to look at this photograph until just a minute.
Okay. And with respect to the toes of the socks, those now can be seen quite clearly, is that correct?
One of the socks, the lower socks is definite, can see that.
And the other one looks like it's pretty clear too, is that
The
correct?
other one looks like a folding in a three-dimension setting.
And is it correct that with respect to both socks are substantially turned inside out?
Yes, sir. Especially the lower one, it's positively inside out. The top one, it's kind of in the borderline, but the bottom one definitely is inside out.
And does it appear that the toe of the top sock is coming into contact with what we've been referring to as wall 3.
Yes, sir. If assume that's inside out.
And it's maybe we can't say this with positively, but does it appear that it's coming into contact with the ankle area of wall 3?
I cannot come here speculate anything. It's in this area.
All right. May I show this to the jurors, Your Honor? Because it is getting a little washed off on the Elmo.
All right. And juror number 1, please. Mr. Goldberg, without the reporter while we're waiting. All right, Mr. Goldberg, would you collect that from Deputy Bashmakian, please? All right, let the record reflect that each of the jurors has had the opportunity to carefully review People's 596, the sock photograph.
Thank you, Doctor. I'd like to move on to another topic, if we may, and that's to ask you a couple clarifying questions about bindle number 47. Now, it is your opinion that there was a wet transfer in that bindle, is that correct?
Yes, that's no doubt in my mind. It's a wet transfer.
All right. Now, sir, when you were doing your examination in this case, did you find, well, let me withdraw that question, Your Honor. I'd like to mark another exhibit as People's next in order, what appears to be a board of 3 photographs showing bindle number 42 in this case.
All right, that'll be People's 597. $165, can you see that? Yes, sir. All right, 1386.
Sir, I'd like to direct your attention to the item that's been marked as People's 596, excuse me,
97.
597 for identification. Dr. Lee, can you take a look at that?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You may.
Yes.
Is this one of the items that you examined?
Yes, sir.
And did this also contain some wet transfers?
In my notes, I did mention this item have wet transfer.
Okay, and, sir, if the testimony in this case is that the swatches here came from a pool of the victim's blood, Nicole Simpson, would you expect that to play any material role in terms of whether or not we would get a wet transfer?
Yes.
In other words, would her blood be different from someone else's blood?
I don't know. I did not group that. I can't really tell you whose blood. The transfer, you might know, refer a bow tie, like a bow tie transfer. I tried to find a piece in here, have a bow tie. Whether or not I can fit this bow tie, I wasn't too successful.
And that could be something twisted, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? What I'm asking you, I guess my question wasn't very clear, is would we expect that perhaps Orenthal Simpson's blood dries at a faster rate or different rate than Nicole Brown's blood?
Sustained.
What?
Sustained.
What would we expect that one person's blood would dry faster or slower than another person's blood?
This mooring indicates there are other factors, amount of sample, the condition of sample, the drying condition. Here, I don't know how many swatches, a whole bundle of it. And only a few small transfer, which indicative there are some wet transfer. That's all I can say.
Okay, well, that's the same as bindle 47?
47 have few more transfers, and 4 transfers.
Okay, so this has a few less transfers, but both
Yes,
of them
sir.
have transfers. Your Honor, I'd like to show the witness very briefly the exhibit that we've marked as the Serology Results Board, People's 202, for identification. It's out in the hall, apparently, if we may get it.
Serology Results Board?
I have an objection to this. This is outside the scope.
Overruled. All right, and this is People's Exhibit. Proceed. Mr. Goldberg.
Okay, Doctor, I want you to assume that there's already been testimony to this board and the accuracy of the PGM subtypes, and direct your attention to the PGM subtype column. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you item number 42 for identification. It says blood under Nicole Brown, is that correct?
The chart says so.
Yes. And according to the chart, there is an inconclusive result on that PGM
Says
subtype
ink,
and
yes.
EAP.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Now, in terms of Bindle 42, containing blood under Nicole Brown,
Yes, sir.
and Bindle 47, do you believe that the same process was responsible? I mean, are the types of transfer stains we're seeing in both of those consistent?
Okay, first, we don't have 47 on the board.
Yeah, I'm not asking.
Oh,
the
you don't
blood
ask
group,
me
I'm
the
just
board?
transfer
Okay,
stains, yes.
all right, sorry. I thought you were asking me about the board.
But the transfer stains are consistent in both cases, is that correct?
They are wet transfer, that aspect similar.
All
But the
right.
transfer pattern, they're different.
And there were different swatches and different combinations of
Yes.
swatches in them?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now, getting to the shoe prints that we left off with on the Bundy location,
Yes, sir.
on the walkway itself, there was one photograph from June the 13th
Yes.
that you referred to. And was it your conclusion in your testimony that there were some parallel lines that could be seen?
Yes,
in
sir.
that? And was it your conclusion when you testified on Friday that with regard to those parallel lines in that photograph, it could be anything?
Yes, just some parallel line. And I cannot say that's a footprint.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark as people's next in order a photograph that is depicting one of the shoe prints. It's P50.
All right, this will be People's 598. Have you shown that to Mr. Scheck?
Sorry, it's already been marked as People's 45I.
All right. Withdraw 598.
May I just approach the witness very quickly?
You may.
Sir, I'd like to show you quickly what we've already marked in this case as 45I. Does that appear to be a first-generation photograph of the June 13th photograph that appear to have some parallel lines that could be anything?
Yeah, this is a much better photograph than what I obtained.
Okay. And now that you see that photograph, does it appear that the parallel lines are in fact trowel marks or scratches in the surface of the pavement?
Could be,
Does that appear to be the most
Yes.
reasonable explanation?
right.
Okay, so that leaves us with the parallel line imprints that you saw on June the 25th that we need
Yes,
to
sir.
discuss. Now, sir, when you took those photographs of parallel line imprints on the Bundy Walk itself,
Yes, sir.
had you seen those prints on the walk at any time prior to June the 25th?
I wasn't there.
Okay.
I definitely did not see anything like this before.
And did you examine the photographs in this case that were provided to you by Mr. Shapiro to determine whether or not you could see those particular parallel line prints in the photos?
Unfortunately, the area I found really don't have a good photograph. Most of the overall view photo is taken at an angle. It's lost the perceptions. Some did some pretty good photograph. Those are selected, just shows those imprint consistent with Bruno Magna.
All right, let's take a look at the Defense Exhibit 1337, which is the footprint board, if we may.
Yes. Bless you.
Now, with respect to the photograph on this exhibit that is at the bottom in the middle that says walkway June the 25th, 1994 on it.
Yes, sir.
Can you show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury clearly where the parallel line footprint is?
I say imprint evidence. I think I did not say footprint. I don't think I identify this as a footprint. I identify this one as a footprint. I see parallel line imprint here.
Okay, but does this appear to have a round edge that would seem to be consistent with some sort of a manufactured object, like a sole?
Maybe.
And did you say that the characteristics of these two items were the same?
No, this is a parallel line. Here like a Bruno magnet. Here look like a portion on top of each other. You are overlapping now, two patterns. That's why I call it imprint evidence. I did not call footprint. This one is a clear one. You can see from the toe to the heel. That's why I call this one a footprint. It's no doubt in my mind, this made of our shoes.
And was it your view that both of these imprints, parallel line imprints, were in blood from appearances?
This definitely was. And this I tested also consistently.
And, well, I'd make a motion to strike the part about testing it, because I said appearances.
Appearances, that'll be stricken.
And Dr. Lee, was it your opinion that insofar as you can tell the characteristics, these two are consistent?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, can you tell us from your note, now, this parallel imprint, is it fair to say, sort of transects one of the tiles?
It's a mixture of imprints, debris, overlapping, quite a few stuff in there. Quite a few imprint items all together. This one is clear and defined. That's why I call this as an imprint. I don't refer as a footprint.
But this particular imprint seems to go across where the tiles meet at a junction. Is that correct?
Yes, a portion of this appear to be crossed.
All right. And can you just double check your notes, Doctor, to see whether you accurately stated what tile you believe the cross footprint to be on?
Actually, this one is tile 10. I have no doubt of this. This, I did not bring my note with me. You get the copy. I think it's between tile 5, 6, or 7, 6, something in that neighborhood.
Okay, so when you said this, you're talking about the imprint evidence that's on the bottom in the middle. We don't know what tile it is on for sure.
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us what tile it was on for sure by looking at your notes?
No.
All right, but the one in the lower of the part of the diagram on the right, you say is on tile number?
10.
Okay.
Yes.
At this time, yeah, well, is it conceivable, I don't want to have the courtroom flooded with boards, but is there a way that we can have 3 boards at one time, or is that just an impossibility? All right, let's take this one down. Your Honor, I'd like to next mark a blank magnetic board as People's
98.
I thought we had a 9. We don't have a 98?
98.
59? Okay. Can we put the easel in the middle, Your Honor? Your Honor, I'd like to mark as People's next in order. It will be, can I mark it as part of this? Well, I'll do it as 599A, B, and C, a series of magnetized photographs of the Bundy Walk. A appears to be the furthest up the walk. B is the middle photograph in terms of where it's positioned on the walk.
All right, do we have any remains on this?
No, Your Honor.
All right, may I see it, Mr. Bancroft?
And C is going to be the furthest east. That would be towards where Nicole's body was.
All right, noted.
And, Your Honor, with the court's permission, can I put A, B, and C tags on that, just so that we can make the testimony a little
Yes,
easier
please.
to follow? Perhaps you could step down for a moment.
And Mr. Goldberg?
Yeah, no, we'll put it where it's not covering any of the tiles, like on the spout.
245. 245.
245? Okay. Your Honor, while Dr. Lee's examining that photograph, I'd like to put photograph 45, People's 45D on the Elmo, which is P46. Or on laser, either way we can do it. instead, Your Honor.
All right.
It has to be arranged the other way so that we can see the whole photo. Okay, Dr. Lee, I want you to look carefully at this, and I'll show you the actual photo off the yellow if you need to see it. But I'd like to direct your attention to what would appear to be a detective's left foot
Which
in the
detective?
third tile,
You have two
black
set of
shoes.
shoes,
Black shoes.
black shoes,
Okay,
okay?
that in the third tile.
1, 2, 3, yeah, third time.
All right. I'd like you to look carefully at the shoe print that is to the right of the third tile.
To the right. Here, you mean this
Well,
one?
yeah, to the right of the tile in the third row.
Third row, from left or right?
No, third row back towards what would be the alley.
That's 1, that's 2, that's 3,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Let's-
third
let's-
row, okay,
All right.
sure.
Now, Dr. Lee, taking a look back at. You want to look at it now?
Yes. I can see this one.
Okay, so the one that we're referring to, that we've just been referring to, is the same as on photograph C on our Bundy exhibit, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that would be the third row. Sir, is the arrow in the right place on the telestrator?
You mean the shoe print you want to show me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we print that and mark that? Okay, Dr. Lee, I'm going to put a little 3 in an area of the tile that appears to contain no shoe print evidence. Is this okay?
Sure.
So that would be the third row. I'm not going to mark all of these because otherwise it will take too long. But if this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I want you to test whether I'm putting number 7 in the right place.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let's use the bigger photo for 10. So this is 7, 8, 9, 10. And the parallel line shoe print is supposed to be where?
Here.
And do you see anything that bears,
I see something on the top.
you see something on that tile?
Yeah.
Where?
Appear to be a pattern on this top.
You're saying you can see a pattern on that tile?
Some kind of pattern. I cannot describe this pattern because this picture taken, again, it's not a one-to-one direct on. The photographer take a picture in my position, so everything lost perspective. You do see something here. Whether or not those are, you can see quite a few stuff here. This is a set of footprint. But here, you can see they are transfer imprints, but I cannot tell you what kind of a pattern.
Can you
Right.
the record reflect here that Dr. Lee has indicated, first reddish, the darker red ones that have previously been referred to as Bruno Magli, and I think it goes from the set of tiles, which are the
Number 7.
well, I think if you start from the
Number 7.
number
Number
7,
seven.
but they go straight back, and then he indicated another set,
Column.
another column of imprints.
Third
and
tile over from the left.
one tile over from the left, and in particular, the discussion started with an examination of where Mr. Goldberg had placed the 10. If we go 3 tiles over to the right, he indicates seeing an imprint there.
So, thank you.
Dr. Lee, you're saying that the imprint is 10 down the tile,
You can
Well,
actually
let's not
start
say
from
it's-
here.
but the possible, whatever it is 10 down and 3 over. Is that what
Right,
you're saying?
right. But here, again, 10, 9, 8. 7 and 8, this area something.
Now, in your notes, did you document any imprint
I
as being
don't-
10 down and 3 over?
I don't have this photograph. That's the first day I see this photograph.
Well, Dr. Lee, with respect to the parallel line imprint, didn't you say it was 10 down and 1 over? Is that correct?
That's still 1 over. From this side, 1 over. That's not wrong.
No.
That's the planter.
Well, here, let's compare them. Can you help me with this one?
Mayor, I think we should
Okay.
put this up to...
No, you're right. That's the other way around.
Okay, and so according to your notes, the print that we're looking for should be 10 down and 2 over.
No, my note says 10 tile. I did not make this board.
So you're saying,
Somebody made this board.
so you're saying this board is wrong?
I think if I look at this picture today, this probably 1x in this location. I did not make this board.
We have that reflected on the board.
Mr. Goldberg?
We put that up so that we can make the change.
Well, we'll have to do that on redirect, I suppose.
Do you want to at least, wait. Mr. Goldberg, while you're conducting your examination, would you at least describe for the record what the witness is referring to?
Okay, he was referring to the Bundy imprint board and saying, I did not make this board.
Yes.
Which is Defense Exhibit what?
I think it's 1337.
All right, thank you.
Sir, did you say that you were not given photos from June the 13th of this walkway?
I don't have a picture as clear as this. I have some picture, barely see. The image is not too good.
All right, counsel, we got a logistical problem here because we've got 4 or 5 jurors who can't see the witness now, so.
Dr. Lee, did you
Hold on,
ask?
I
hold
will
on,
move.
hold on.
Gee, chills.
All right, we're going to have to move some of these items. Do you need 1337 up at this point?
1337? I don't necessarily need that, as long as he's pinned down, well, I think he's already testified where that's incorrect, so I don't.
May I request, Your Honor, that marking be made on the board?
No, you can do that on your part of the redirect, counsel.
Doctor, did you ever ask the defense to provide you with higher quality pictures?
I get the information, that's all the picture we get. It's totally out of sequence, mixed up like a deck of car. I spent a lot of time trying to make some sense out.
Okay, but when you got it from Mr. Shapiro, did he say, please send me some examination quality photos?
I did ask he said that's all he got. He
right.
took it back. By the way, I don't have the photograph.
So you don't have them now?
I don't have it now.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to your notes from 625. What does that say in terms of where the 10th tile footprint is?
By the way, that's Dr. Wolf, Barbara Wolf's note. But 10th tile, here, first line, parallel, you see this line, parallel line footprint.
So it's on 10, but do we know how many over it is from the notes?
Based on her notes, I don't know.
Well, do you have notes that show how far?
I was so busy taking picture, I only have 20 minutes to work. I only can do one thing at a time.
Okay,
I dictate to her, whether or not she put it down, I don't know.
all right, so at this point, we have no record as to where that is.
Judged by your photograph, I think it's the second row. Front of house, that's the third row. Is front of planter, that's the second row.
You have no independent recollection?
No, no.
And you have no independent recollection of where the other one is that correct?
I only have one shot, very short time. I photographed, documented.
Okay, let's, are we going to take a recess at 2:45, Your Honor? Because I wanted to switch to the other print, and maybe we can take a recess now.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our mid-afternoon 15-minute recess at this point. Remember all my admonitions to you. Dr. Lee, you can step down. We'll be in recess for 15. On the record in the Simpson matter. Let's have it quiet in the courtroom. All right, all parties are again present. Jury is not present. Mr. Goldberg, you got your exhibits all set up? All right, let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Dr. Henry Lee is on the witness stand undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you.
Hold on just a second. Got all our equipment? All right.
Your Honor, for the record, I put the number 10 sticker on the on Exhibit A, 598A, on the 11th tile, and Dr. Lee then said that he had seen something on 11 down, 3 across from left to right. I've moved number 10 in Mr. Scheck's presence now to the 10th tile.
All right, so we're agreed that the marker for the 10th tile is now correctly placed on this exhibit, correct?
Yes.
And there was other testimony about other tiles, but
All right, thank you.
Now, Dr. Lee,
The appellate courts will just love this record.
what?
Never mind.
Dr. Lee, directing your attention to photographs 598A, B, and C, do you see some footprints on those photographs that are consistent with what has been identified as the Bruno Magli design?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see any items on there that can be identified as footprints that are inconsistent with the Bruno Magli design?
I see some imprint evidence in different locations. I don't know what type of pattern. It's if we call this column number 1, column number 2, we can see column number 1 and column number 2, they are vivid pattern, which consistent with Bruno magnet. Of course, those out of focus, I don't know. Column number 3, there are some appear to be imprint evidence, which I don't know what kind of pattern.
Okay, so the only imprint evidence on any of these photos that we can say is a shoe is consistent with the Bruno Magli design. Is that correct?
These two in focus. This two is in focus, I can tell. The rest of them, I cannot tell.
All right. Now, did you take a look at Bill Bodziak's diagrams and notes with respect to his investigation of shoe print evidence in the Bundy location?
No, this is the first time I see this beautiful chart. And a lot of blue, red, dark blue, all different color, which appears to be indicate some footprint.
No, let's put it on. Can I put that up on another easel, Your Honor?
Yes. All right, and Mr. Fairtlow, which diagram is this?
This is People's Exhibit.
Doctor, while we're waiting,
387B.
while we're waiting for them to
Thank you.
put that up, the other items that you said are imprints.
Yes.
That you can see. Are you saying that those are shoe prints, are not shoe prints, or I don't know?
I can tell you that's imprint, but I cannot tell you definitively those are shoes.
Okay. Now, Doctor, were you aware of any testimony by Mr. Bodziak on cross-examination offering a theory that someone perhaps turned around and went back down the walk as well, wearing Bruno Magli shoes?
When I examine some crime scene photo, although it's a second, third generation, I do see couple footprint out of place in different direction. So I concur with his opinion. That's just interpretation.
All right. But that there seem to be fewer prints, perhaps, we'll strike that. Okay. Now, Doctor, excuse me. Your Honor, I'd like to mark as people's next in order, that would be 598, E, and F.
599? I'm sorry, 598, we're still doing the
Yes.
magnetic, all right.
E is what appears to be a,
This would be D.
no, we already had.
A, B,
Oh,
C,
okay. Yeah, that's right.
D.
I thought we'd already marked a D, sorry. So D is going to be, oh, excuse me, there is a D. Okay, yes, there was a D, Your Honor. Okay, as E, what appears to be a further away view of what appears to be a parallel line imprint that intersects with the tile. And then as F, what appears to be a closer view of the same photograph.
Before it describes what they are, maybe you could show them to the witness and authenticate them in that fashion.
He gets to do it the way he wants to do it, counsel.
No, I'm only talking about the description of what it contains.
Your Honor, for the record, I'm taking C and B down, but I'm going to leave A up. And Doctor, I'm going to put A on its side. And the way that I've arranged this, the dog's bowl is on the left-hand side of the photograph. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So looking at it, it's as if we're sort of looking down the walk towards the alley. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now I'd like to show you what has been marked as E, and I'm orienting that so that the tile is parallel with the floors that's on the board in this courtroom. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'd like to show you F, and I'm orienting that similarly so that the tile is parallel with this courtroom floor.
Yes, sir.
Now, do these two photographs depict the same scene?
It appears to be depict the same scene, appears to be enhanced the photo.
Excuse me?
Enhanced the photo.
You mean enhanced, enlarged, or
Enlarged or enhanced because the contrast is much better than before. Them much better than my original.
Looking at this photograph, or these two photographs now, does this item that intersects, the imprint that intersects the walkway, appear to be more consistent with the shoe print than in the photos that you looked at?
Maybe. I cannot, I still call it imprint. I cannot say that's a footprint.
All right. Now, with respect to this photograph, Sir, there appear to be a number of dark spots,
Imprints, yes.
little dark patches.
Yes.
Were there berries on the walk?
Yes, sir. There are berries on the wall.
And did the berries leave numerous berry stains in the area?
I guess if berry, somebody step on the berry, going to leave some berries.
So when we're looking at these little dark splotches on the photograph, those appear to be...
Those are residue of the berry, not the berry stain.
All right. Now, Doctor, I'd like to direct your attention back to Bill Wozniak's diagram.
Yes, sir.
And let's count over to the 10th tile. 1, 2. Okay, so the 10th tile is to the, right between J and K and H and I, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So the closest photographs we have to that tile would be photographs depicting H, I, J, and K, correct?
This is, by the way, not the 10th tile. This E and F, by no means, it's not 10th tile. Also going to be 10th tile, as I just noticed, the chart was upside down. Should be here, right here, the second one, instead of on this side.
Okay, now by second one, what are you talking about? The other imprint that's
No.
not on?
Not, you did not show that one. That shows a footprint.
Okay, the one that's in a footprint is on what tile?
10th tile, 10, 1, 0.
Okay, 1, 0. So that should be between H, I, J, and K.
It's here. It's not, it's a little off. H, I, and J. Okay.
Okay, but do you have any note, you don't have any notes reflecting where that is?
Only Dr. Barbara Wolf, I dictate to her, she wrote down 10th tile, parallel line, footprint.
And with respect to the one that's intersecting the tile,
Yes.
that's the one where we don't know where it is.
Probably 5 or 7 in that neighborhood, but the notes do not reflect.
So E and F, we don't know.
We don't know.
All right. Now, let's take a look at the, and just so that we're clear, E and F are the photographs that you took on June the 25th.
Now, E, I took some photograph. You use my photograph to enlarge to enhance. Shows additional, as I pointed out, there are numerous imprint evidence on here. This wiggly line, that's another imprint evidence. Here is another parallel line imprint evidence, actually better than my own photograph.
Now, Doctor, would you agree, though, that these photographs are taken on June the 25th, E and F?
My photograph was taken on June 25th. This photograph definitely is not taken on June 25th.
Well, isn't this comes from your photograph, right?
So it's not from my, you are retaking my photograph. So you did not take on June 25th, 1995.
Okay, well, I don't want to get into semantics.
No, that's not
Yeah.
semantic, that's really important.
Okay.
Because I took my picture on June 25th, 1994. This picture, somebody took picture of my picture.
You know, at this time, I'd like to mark as People's 598G, a photograph of what appears to be the same as E and F, except that it's not enlarged.
All right.
Doctor, is this your picture?
Yes, sir, this is my picture.
Okay, let's just put that on the almost so we have that. Well, can't we get it better than that? Your Honor, I'd like to mark as People's 598H. Do we have an H sticker? Unfortunately, I don't have an H sticker, but fortuitously, this happens to be footprint H, and it has an H in it. I'd like to direct your attention, Dr. Lee, to a footprint that is in photograph H.
Yes.
Now, does this appear to be one of the photographs that was taken on the June the 13th?
I trust you.
Okay. And incidentally, when we're taking photographs of shoe prints, is it preferable to have photographs, if possible, in black and white?
Yes.
And then I'd like to mark as people's 594I for identification.
598. 598.
598.
598I. Another imprint. One of these down. So let's see.
Or you can just move them over.
It's all right. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to a photograph that's actually previously been testified into this case, in this case that's labeled H,
Yes.
and that is also depicted on Bill Bodziak's diagram.
387B.
Yeah, this H.
Okay.
And now I'd like to direct your attention to a photograph that's been marked as I for identification here. Now, I'd like you to compare very carefully E and I for identification.
Yes.
First, I'd like to direct your attention to the heel print of E and I.
Right.
Does it appear that the same portion of the heel print is missing in both of those?
Yes.
And I'd like to direct your attention to what would be the toe area of I.
Right.
Does it appear that with respect to the toe area of I, that portions of the toe area in relationship to the tile, the grouting in the tile, is consistent with its placement on E?
It could be. I cannot see that definitively, but could be there.
But you agree that that appears to be
I don't have
consistent?
the tile here.
All right. Now, Doctor, do you also notice what appeared to be in this photograph some possible splatter patterns, maybe from a bird?
That's a bird. Did you say that's a bird? That's fine.
Can you take a look at that splatter?
How can I look at spider, tell you that's a bird or a squirrel or?
Oh, okay, well,
I can't tell.
well, whatever it is, there's some sort of a white spatter pattern in there, correct?
Could be anything.
Okay, well, whatever it is, there appears to be some sort of a white mark that appears to be scattered, is that correct? Okay, now I'd like to direct your attention to H for identification and see whether you can see that same spatter pattern appears in both photographs.
Looks like a similar pattern, but again, I cannot tell you that's a spatter or not spatter. If you just want to ask me, is this the more or less like same location? I will tell you, it looks like a more or less same if you use this landmark. Whether or not on the walkway have other so-called bird or spider or not, for example, here you have one, it's not showing in the photo. I don't know.
Or this could be a photographic
Oh, yeah, then
anomaly,
this
right?
could be a photograph.
Except
In
that-
fact, anything is possible.
Right. And these are some of the problems we get into with photographs, right?
Right, because
Okay.
look at here, you have additional stuff. And here, I don't see additional stuff.
Now-
It's kind of difficult to just look at the picture. That's the difficulty.
Okay, now, Dr. Lee,
Yes.
if you are photographing footprints on a walkway, you are supposed to use a tripod, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm supposed to. Ordinary, if I do my crime scene, I do. If you ask me, did I take this with a tripod? No, I only have 20 minutes, just enough to get there, take a couple of shots, and get out.
But if someone does take a picture with the tripod and they're not adjusting, they're trying to keep the tripod at the same height as they go down the walk, photographs should match up much better than one would expect. Is that correct?
In certain aspect, it's correct, but for example, this photograph, it's not correct. The ruler blocked the shoe. And we're supposed to have a T-bar shape. This blocks something, here blocks something. You are not seeing the whole shoe.
Well, Doctor, also you used a metal retractable.
That's all I
ruler.
get.
But you're not supposed to use that in super photography, correct?
No, not say no, you're not supposed to. You only can use whatever you get that moment. If I bring my whole crime scene lab to Bundy that day, of course I can tripod, have a laser light. I'm probably going to use chemical enhancement. I probably can develop minimal. I just look at the
Your Honor,
photo.
actually, there's no question pending at this point. All right.
The question was regarding the ruler. Proceed.
Okay. Well, Dr. Lee, you didn't use one of the rulers that we've marked in evidence.
That's called a ruler too.
Appears to be a tape measure.
All right, it's a tape measure. All right, at any rate, let's not get off this subject and do it another area. Do you notice on H there appears to be a little portion of a heel print on
Yes.
H? Right, now let's try to match up what appears to be a possible splatter pattern and the heel print on these two photographs. And now I'm blocking part of your photograph.
Yes.
Does that appear to match up
Yes, sir.
reasonably well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it reasonable to believe that these two photographs are depicting portions of the same tile?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, you,
I'm blocking the jurors again.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
it's all right. That's not my concern. I just need, the record needs to reflect that you superimposed H over
Over I.
I. Thank you.
Now let's take a look at, back at A. Let's go on to the ninth tile.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little bit of a heel imprint that seems to be consistent with H.
Right.
And we have another larger footprint on the intersecting the 8th and 9th tiles
Right.
that appears to be consistent with I,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
All right. Now, directing your attention back to your photograph, the June the 25th photograph, let's
Yes,
call
sir.
it that. Do you notice what appears to be a similar heel print in the bottom corner of the tile?
Could be.
And does that appear to be consistent with the portion of the heel print in H?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, with respect, now, Doctor, is it reasonable to believe that we have now identified photographs that were taken on the 13th of the same area that was photographed on June the 25th?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the wave-like pattern
Yes.
on the June the 25th photograph, is it fair to say that that does not appear in the June 13th photographs?
It's under the ruler, first thing. Second, this problem much lighter compared to this pattern. If it made of blood, this is dark, this is going to be much lighter, which if you have a direct lighting, you probably, just like Mr. Goldberg just say, reflection, bleach out, all kind of possibility, you may don't see it. After time, aging, progression, this thing get darker, darker. That's why the contrast you start can see. Unless you can see it, you can take picture.
Okay, well, Dr. Lee, with respect to the June the 25th photograph
Right.
and the wave-like pattern, this was not one of the items that you identified as being a parallel line?
No.
And this was not something you identified as being consistent with blood, is that correct?
I did not test, I test this area, I test some other area, test couple area, I don't recall exactly spot. So long ago.
So you can't recall.
I can't.
All right. But just so that it's clear, if we look at I and H,
Yes.
and we're looking at the intersection of the tile in the area of the heel print on H,
Right.
does that appear to be the same as the intersection on E that also contains a partial heel print?
Yes.
Now, is there any photographic, would you agree that there is no indication of the parallel line imprint on the June the 13th photographs?
Not what we can see.
Because here we see a fairly dark impression, is that correct? And
That's
distinct
correct.
impression. And when I'm referring to here, I'm talking about the June the 25th
Yes, sir.
photograph. But we do not see that on the June the 13th photograph, is that correct?
With this particular photo.
Your Honor, the record should reflect Mr. Goldberg was pointing towards, I think it's 598H at that moment, the black and white.
At this time, I'm going to move on to a different but related area. But before I do that, would it be possible for the jurors to get a close-up view of the photographs that are now on the board?
All right. Let's start with juror number 1. Mr. Goldberg,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
proceed.
Your Honor, I wanted to show one of the videos that was previously marked as 101, but Mr. Scheck now wants to approach.
All right, with the court board, please.
Your Honor, while we're doing that, is it okay if we take these boards down?
Yes,
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, I'm sorry, Madam Reporter. All right, Mr. Goldberg, you want to show to the jury and to the witness a videotape that has previously been shown?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what exhibit is this?
I'm sorry. It's 101.
All right, I'm going to ask that we preview the matter first so the court and counsel can see it only.
And I had a couple questions of Dr. Lee prior to that, if I
All right,
might.
but just so our technical staff can set that up first.
Thank you. Dr. Lee, would you agree that if footprints were deposited on the Bundy Walk after the crime scene photography was done and after the crime scene was shut down, that those footprints would not be of forensic relevance?
I can't say that totally. Depends what kind of context you put in. Sometimes the criminal go back to the scene, and we do take considerations.
Okay, well, other than something that's just completely speculative, would you say that generally if a police officer or a citizen, whoever it was, deposited the shoe prints after the photographs and after the crime scene was shut down, that that's not something of forensic relevance?
If in blood, that's still significant.
If they traipsed through blood and then deposited shoe prints, you
Yes.
think that that's significant?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. If a police officer or a citizen or a photographer traipses through blood after the crime scene shut down and deposits shoe prints, is that going to help you identify the suspect?
If all the evidence already collected, they abandon the scene, then it's no significance.
Okay. Can we now preview the tape on the council table monitors?
All right, Matt, can we just on council table, please? All right. All right, Mr. Scheck, do you recollect the videotape? All right, do you recollect the videotape, Mr. Scheck? All right, Mr. Goldberg, do you wish to play this for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Farrell, would you rewind and play, please? Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, did you just view the videotape that we showed to the jurors?
That's the first time I see this videotape.
Okay. Now, if one of these officers that are depicted in the videotape deposited shoe prints after the crime scene was shut down, would that help us determine who committed the murders?
I don't think these two officers deposited those shoe prints.
Well, what I'm asking you is, if these officers deposited shoe prints, would it help us determine who committed the murders?
If it belongs to them, no.
And if these officers or some other member of the public or someone else that came in later deposited the shoe prints that were seen on your photographs taken on June the 25th,
Yes.
would
Sustain.
the two photographs on the walkway, would that help us determine who the killer was?
Again, what the photograph I took in June 25th, it's parallel line design. These two officers, I don't think their shoe sole pattern is similar to the parallel design. It's on the second platform. This footprint has to lot in blood, not great amount of blood. If a great amount of blood, we should see much darker color. What I see is grayish color. Need a lot of experience to recognize that. If those footprints, say, in fact, left by these two officers, have no significance.
Now, sir, did you examine the shoes of any of the officers depicted in the photo?
These two officers, if a standard police department issue, maybe I don't think they are parallel design.
Okay, and that was the basis of your view, is that okay?
Right.
Okay, now, if this jury has already heard and seen evidence that Los Angeles police officers wear shoes with a very wide assortment and array of sole designs, would that change your view?
If you can give me those shoes, I can tell you right away what type of shoes.
That's not quite what I asked. If Mr. Bodziak, in his testimony, introduced and talked about numerous pictures of police officers' shoe prints showing a variety of different patterns.
Well, then you should ask Mr. Boziak.
Okay, all right. May I just have a moment, Your Honor?
Certainly.
Sir, hypothetically, if these police officers that we saw in the video walked through the area after the crime scene was broken down, if Nicole Brown's family walked through the crime scene after it was broken down on June the 13th, if an individual by the name of Ron Hardy walked through and hosed portions of the crime scene on June the 14th, and a number of other people walked down the walkway prior to the time that you got there,
Yes, sir.
Proper foundation.
can you eliminate the possibility that those people deposited prints at the scene?
I cannot eliminate.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Mr. Scheck, do you need a brief break to reorganize?
A few minutes just to
All right.
reorganize.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, there are a lot of exhibits, and we're going to shift now to the redirect examination. I'm going to give counsel a couple of minutes just to organize the exhibits, so let me just ask you to step back in the jury room for a quick comfort break, and we'll call you out in about 10 minutes. All right, let's take 10. All right, Doc. All organized? All right, back on the record. All parties are again present. Jury is not present. Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please. And we'll break at 5. Ms. Clark, Mr. Cochran. All right, let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel, that Dr. Henry Lee is again on the witness stand, that the prosecution has completed their cross-examination, and Mr. Scheck, you may redirect.
Your Honor, before Mr. Scheck starts, I wanted to mark two printouts, a printout of 598C. I guess this is going to be 598C1. And it's a printout of what appear to be the prints that were on the second and third lines, tiles rather. And I'd like to mark as 595A what appears to be the printout of the evidence envelope with the yellow circle around the dot.
All right, thank you, so marked. Mr. Scheck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Lee, Mr. Goldberg asked you a number of questions today about imprint evidence.
Yes, sir.
Now, first, let's talk about imprint evidence on the envelope, the piece of paper, and Mr. Goldman's jeans. Dr. Lee, is it your understanding that each of those items was recovered on June 13th?
Yes, sir.
This is 1339, Your Honor, the board entitled Imprint Evidence Bundy, Imprint Evidence on Mr. Goldman's blue jeans.
All right.
Dr. Lee, in the sections marked Imprint 1, Imprint 2, Imprint 3, are these imprints?
Yes, sir. It's consistent with imprints.
You have made a distinction here between scientific fact and interpretation.
Yes, sir.
As far as you're concerned, are these imprints scientific fact?
Yes.
Dr. Lee, you were shown some videotapes of police officers walking out of the crime scene after it was broken down.
Yes.
For their shoes to have left imprints on Mr. Goldman's jeans, they'd have to step on them, right?
Argumentative, Your Honor.
Overruled.
In theory, yes.
Dr. Lee, for a detective or a photographer visiting the crime scene on June 13th to make imprints on Mr. Goldman's jeans, they'd have to step on them.
In theory, yes.
Your Honor, it's argumentative because he didn't say they were shoe prints.
Overruled.
Your Honor, this is entitled Imprint Evidence at Bundy, 1338. Consists of 4 photographs, imprint on paper, close-up of imprint, imprint on envelope, close-up of imprint. I also have 1338A, which is a photograph of the piece of paper that has blue markings on it entitled PLP, and 1338B, which is the envelope that also has blue markings on it entitled PLP.
All right.
Dr. Lee, are these parallel lines imprints on the piece of paper and the envelope? First of all, are they imprints?
It's consistent with imprint.
Is that a scientific fact, sir?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Lee, could the police officers that were just shown in the videotape by Mr. Goldberg have made the parallel line imprints on the piece of paper on the envelope?
No.
Speculation, Your Honor, motion to strike.
Overruled.
Dr. Lee, if a photographer or detective that came to the scene were to have made these parallel line imprints on the piece of paper in the envelope, they would have had to come over and step on them.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Lee, show you what is, I guess, People's 598A, Your Honor, and this is one of those photographs that have been blown up and magnetized.
Yes.
And this is the one that's entitled A and has now the number 10 on a tile.
Yes.
Step down.
Dr. Lee, you may step down.
And Your Honor, do you have a removable stick and arrow so that I can put a mark on it and then remove it? Dr. Lee, you indicated on cross-examination that you had never seen a photograph of this scene of this quality before.
That's correct.
And when Mr. Goldberg was asking you questions about imprint impressions, you said that you had observed something on this photograph.
Yes, sir.
And that was on, counting, I guess, using the tiles where the number 10 is, it would be the 1, 2, third one over.
Yes.
Or,
Leading.
all right. Please show the jury by putting the yellow stickum.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that nothing be put on it that's going to obliterate part of the exhibit.
All
So
right,
this
this is a removable
Oh, this is removable? Okay.
post-it type
All right, I hadn't noted that.
pointer.
Yes, Dr. Lee, could you please indicate what imprint impressions you saw in the area of, withdrawn. Misuse of word. All right. In terms of imprints